posted a decent set of Q4 numbers. Their revenue growth was muted at 4%, but margins expanded by around 200 basis points to come in at 30.2%. What's the outlook going forward in different segments and the new expansions that the company has planned as well? Let's speak with Vinati Saraf Mutreja, who is the managing director at the company, joining us now. Ms. Mutreja, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, as I pointed out, revenue growth has been a little muted this time. ATBS, that was a big growth driver in last few quarters because of the demand that we were seeing from the oil and gas segment. How are things in this particular segment? There has been some inventory destocking in global markets. How is it impacting that segment?
See, actually, this year, we saw phenomenal growth, particularly in ATBS, coming from the oil and gas segment, especially in the second half of last year in Q3 and Q4. And now what has happened is a lot of our customers are overstocked. And going forward, at least in Q1 and Q2, I see a slight dip in ATBS. However, that is going to be made up by butyl phenols, by antioxidants. We expect the merger to go through by June. AOs is picking up quite well. Actually, after a very slow year last year, our custom products, which are used in various industries like flavors, fragrances, plastics, they are doing okay. IDB actually had a great Q4, and even Q1 looks good for IDB. Overall, I would expect Q1 to be flattish compared to maybe Q1 last year.
Okay, so ATBS revenues will remain under pressure for the first half of FY24, but it will be compensated and offset by your other segments like antioxidants, IBIBB. But Q1 will be flat on a year-on-year basis. What's the current contribution of the ATBS segment, and how much do you think it will come down to by Q2 FY24?
ATBS in FY23 was about 47%. In 24, I expect that to come down to maybe 42%. But going forward, you did ask me about our growth long-term outlook. We are actually going ahead with our ATBS expansion. That expansion is on track. Our capacity we will complete the new line by March because the long-term outlook for ATBS remains strong. Similarly, we are adding new products in the Vinati Organics, which is our subsidiary, specifically products like MEHQ, glycol, as well as other anisole derivatives and isoamylene derivatives. Even that plant is expected to come on stream by March 24.
There has been a delay in commissioning of these two expanded capacities, right, Vinati, if I'm not wrong?
Well, the delay is in the MEHQ segment because we ran more trials and we got better results. And so we modified the technology a bit. ATBS expansion is on track.
Okay, so once it does come on track, the new MEHQ and the other products in the new plant and ATBS, what kind of revenue expansion will you see, at least in the first year when capacity utilization won't be at its peak?
See, I would normally go with a thumb rule of revenue expansion of 15 to 20%. I would say 15 to 20% year on year. So in the first year, this year we grew by more than 25%. Hence, next year will be flattish. Then again, the next year you can expect 15 to 20% growth. So if you look at a 3 or 5 year perspective, the compounded growth rate does cross over 15%.
Purely for the first half of the year, what could be the extent of revenue decline for ATBS?
Actually, last year, the first half of ATBS wasn't that great either. The major growth in ATBS happened in Q3 and Q4. So if you're going to really compare year on year, you won't see much difference.
Okay. But then if we compare H1 FY24 with H2 of FY23, then are we looking at a contraction?
You will definitely see softening there. Absolutely.
And what could be the extent of that softening?
It's hard. I would compare, I think H1 FY24 should be more in line with H1 FY23.
Okay.
And historically also the second half is better than, the first half.
Got it.
Look at the last 10 years.
Vinati, I wanted to understand more of an industry-wide question because ATBS caters to oil and gas. In 2020, we did see the falling of crude prices, gas prices. It did pick up in 2021, 2022, leading to more investments from these players as well. So what you're talking about as far as weakness in ATBS is concerned is more with destocking. It's got nothing to do with demand or expansions by these sectors globally.
No, it's exactly what I said. There was overstocking happening in the last 2 quarters. There will be destocking. It will get normalized. The long-term perspective remains unchanged. But
And
ATBS is also used in other applications.
yes.
Oil and gas actually accounts for only 30 to 40% of its usage. It's used in personal care, it's used in mining, it's used in water treatment, and there the demand remains steady.
Okay, all right. So demand is steady except for oil and gas. That's where destocking has happened. Does it
Yes.
impact margins as well if the revenue contribution comes down from ATBS?
Yes,
What is the
yes. Yes, the other products, you will see a margin contraction of, I would say, 1 to 2 basis points. This year we did about 32% EBITDA in FY23. Maybe going forward, it can be somewhere in the range of 28 to 30%.
You said, every alternate year you're clocking about a 25% kind of growth. So if last year you've done a 25-30% growth, this year will be flat. Then again, next year, FY25 will see. Is that what you told us?
Yeah, I said, maybe next year, this year would be flat, and the year after that, you can see 15 to 20% growth, absolutely coming in from antioxidants, especially coming in from antioxidants and the new products in Vinati Organics.
Okay, so because we thought initially that only Q1 will be flattish, but now you're saying the full year is likely to be flat, no growth.
Yeah, because Q3 and Q4 were very high.
Okay.
Okay, all right. What is the update on merger of Viral and Vinati? When do you expect it to be done?
The last date of hearing is June 16th with NCLT. If we've got all the other approvals, shareholder lenders approvals, everything else, if that goes through, then it should happen by June end.
By June end. And at peak, how much do you think butyl phenol will contribute, and by when will it start contributing to your books? And similarly for antioxidants, because that's the growth area in FY24.
See, butyl phenols is already contributing to our revenue. We are running at about 60% capacity utilization there. Going forward, I expect that to increase to 80%. It should contribute to about north of 15% of our overall revenues. Antioxidants has been slow. The plant only restarted last year in October, and last year was a slow period for the AO business. This year, I see that picking up. Also, a lot of our trials have been successful with the customers, our samples, our product has been approved. But maybe in FY24, AOs will contribute to about 10% of the overall revenues.
Okay, all right. Okay, Vinati, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a sense of what's happening with your different products, different segments, and what the outlook is going forward as well. That's the word coming in from Vinati Organics. We'll do one thing, slip into